Thank you, Millie Edwards. I'm trying out a new microphone today. It might work, it might not. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll switch it out. But before I do anything, I need to bring somebody up. Can you come forward?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. For those of you who don't know who this is, her name is Erin Keller. She's a longtime member of Unity, sung in the choir for years and years and years. And over the last, was it 2 years?
Year and a half.
Well, over the last year and a half, she's been going through an incredible health challenge that sometimes has taken her right up to that line between life and death. But she is persistent, she has perseverance, and she is a fighter. And we love her dearly. To see her here today is just something that fills my heart. So we'll continue keeping you in our prayers, and
thank you.
We love you dearly.
I have surgery on Friday.
Surgery on Friday. Okay. Good to have the Holmgrens here. Nice drive in, I hope. You know, it always amazes me in this day of incredible technology advancement, medical breakthroughs, explorations and discoveries, we still know very, very little about who we are and where we are. And we live in a universe that we don't know the dimensions of. We have no idea where it ends, if it does end at all, and if it does end, what is just on the other side of the end. There has to be a beginning with every end, and every beginning has an end. It's the same thing with our minds. We can look out as far as we want, and we cannot determine or comprehend where it ends. And it's the same thing with our consciousness when we go inward. The inner space that we have, the consciousness we have is unlimited, it's infinite. We cannot get to the point where we find the end of consciousness. It's just unexplored potential. Now, the problem exists that we don't understand everything that the mind can do. We don't know our full capacity as human beings. Many of the problems and the challenges that we face are very, very difficult, but they don't have to cause us to suffer. There are ways to solve every problem, to move beyond every challenge, if we know the procedure for how that works. Now, I'm reminded of a story about a miner. He lived in a little shack out the base of a mountain, and once a year he would come into town, driving his old rickety, rackety wagon, get enough supplies to last him for 6 months, and then go back out. That was about the only contact he had with people. But then one time he comes to town, and he's got a huge pouch of gold nuggets. Well, it didn't take long for people to figure out that he must have hit a gold mine, or a bonanza, as they call it, and the word spread. So the old miner went back to his shack, and pretty soon a big businessman from the city came and said, "I want to buy your stake, and I'll pay you very handsomely for it." So the miner thought it over, and he said, "Maybe it's a good time for me to step back from all this. Yes, I'll sell it to you." Well, as a signing bonus, the businessman sent the miner a wonderful Cadillac convertible. Several months later, the miner comes to town, and there he is in the convertible. But he's sitting up on top of the seat back. He's got reins in his hand, and the mules are pulling that Cadillac down the road. Now, I'm not making fun of the miner, but that's very much the same as it is for us. We have got this brain that harnesses the most powerful energy in the entire universe, as we know. Everything comes forth from mind. You came forth from mind. The seats, the carpeting, everything comes forth from mind. Each of us has one. And the potential for each of us is the same when it comes to consciousness. It's just that if we don't know the options that we have to utilize it, we're going to get stuck in the same spot and not be able to move forward. And whatever your circumstances are, if you're in between jobs, if you're in a relationship that might not be working out, if you face a health challenge like Erin is, it all begins in mind in regards to what that is going to do with us and where we're going to go because of it. One of the things that the mind does is provides for us the power of desire. Now, desire is kind of a mixed bag. The Buddhists say desire is the cause of all suffering. And to a certain extent it is. If we desire to change the unchangeable, or if we desire to become something other than what we are, or if we desire anything that isn't realistic, that is going to cause us to suffer, because all of that desire doesn't have a fulfillment in its line of existence. The desire I'm talking about is the desire to do something in our lives that takes us a simple step forward in regards to increasing those things that we value. That's the primary source of desire. Originally, it came about as a means of survival. I have to have the desire to eat food or else I'd starve to death. The desire to drink water or I would thirst to death. The desire within me to be safe from whatever is out there or else I would be attacked and eaten by wild animals. But we have grown and we have evolved to the point where our desires are multifaceted. We can desire anything that we want. And we can have anything that we want if there's three things. With every desire, it has to be emotionally initiated. We have to feel something within us, some emotion. The second thing is it has to be realistic. I could desire all day to win the lottery, and I can win it. It's just that I have 1 in 100 million chances. So that's not a very realistic desire. And the third thing is that the desire has to provide for us something that we value. Now, what would that be? I'm not talking about material goods, or I'm not talking about the pleasures of the world. What I'm talking about is those things that deep within us, intrinsically, we desire. Peace of mind is the greatest desire we have. For every one of us in here, we can manage anything if we can maintain a certain sense of peace about us. Love is a value. Self-confidence is a value. Perseverance is a value. All these wonderful spiritual attributes are within us. But until we initiate a desire to utilize them, they're going to lay dormant. We have the mind, from which everything comes. We have the desire, which surfaces in the mind. And Carnegie said, the recognition of a desire. No, wait a minute. Stop that. Back up. I'm going to put it in your words. If you can recognize a desire within you, that is confirmation that you have the capacity to gratify that desire. Well, let's think about that, and I'll say it one more time. If you recognize a desire within you, that means that you have the capacity to gratify that desire. Now, the reason that doesn't happen a lot for us is because we have all the negative voice within us. If we desire to get a better job, if we desire to improve our relationship, if we desire to go out into the world and travel and see things, there's that little voice within us that tells us, no, you can't do that. You're not good enough. That'll never happen. Other people can do that because they're better than you or they're lucky. And that stumbles us up on that path to gratifying our desires because we start to get led or seduced off the path and give up in even trying. Now, when I say every desire is gratifiable, once again, we go back, it has to be realistic, it has to have value to it, and the third thing is that we have to be able to initiate something within our lives that will gratify that. We have mind. Within the mind surfaces a desire. The desire needs a vision. Let's say that I desire more love. What is the vision of that? It's not the vision of somebody loving me out there. It's not the vision of winning a popularity contest. It is simply the vision of myself feeling more loving, feeling more lovable, and loving in exchange. That's the vision that I want. If it comes to me by the way of a winning lottery ticket, that's great, or a new car, that's great, or a new girlfriend, that's great, or a new boyfriend, that's... No, excuse me. In other words, the vision has to pull us forward into an emotional realm where our lives are improving simply because of this increase in value of something that is within us. The vision is very important because we have to focus on the vision. We have to move into it with a laser-sharp focus where nothing that might interfere with the vision can come onto the path and disrupt us. In the book of Luke, Jesus says, anyone who sets his hand to the plow is not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who sets his hand to the plow and looks back is not worthy for the kingdom of heaven. Now let me paraphrase that. What he was saying is anybody that sets his hand to the plow and looks back is not going to plow a straight furrow. Back in those days, you had a hand plow and you had a mule or a horse or something that pulled it. And every once in a while, the person who was plowing would stumble on a rock or trip or fall down. And invariably, they look back to see what was it that tripped them up or what was it that caused them to fall down. And when they did that, the plow would automatically turn and they would plow a crooked furrow. Now that's important because the straighter the lines, the straighter the furrow, the more crops you're going to get on a certain parcel of land. So what the people who were plowing did is they'd go down to the end of the field, they'd put a stick, and they'd put a red flag on it, a red cloth of some sort. And when they were plowing, no matter what happened, their eyes were always focused on the red cloth. And they could trip, they could fall, they could get hurt. It didn't make any difference, but they never took their eye off the red flag. It's that kind of persistence and that kind of perseverance and that kind of commitment and dedication that we need to have when that vision is there before us and we want to get to that. Never take your eye off the red flag. You want to be happier? You can be happier. Never take your eye off that red flag. Never take your eye off that vision of what you want in life. No matter how small the steps, you can move forward and you can increase that which you value within your life. Desire is the primary thing that has resulted in every success that we know of today. Gandhi had the desire to free India from Great Britain rule. One man, and he persisted, and he persisted, and he persisted, and he had the vision of a free India. And that one man freed 390 million people. One person. Christopher Reeves is another one. Christopher Reeves had everything. He was handsome, he was rich, he was a movie star. He was Superman. Everything in his life had to be just fabulous. And then he was in an equestrian or a horse riding contest of some sort, had an accident, fell and severed his spinal cord. He was literally paralyzed from the chin down. He needed to have some sort of an adapter put into his throat to feed him oxygen because he couldn't breathe. Now, for many of us, well, let me take that back. For myself, if that had happened to me, I am not sure that I would have done what he did. But he picked himself up, and he said, I've learned two things as a result of this. First, when things happen that take life away, the life that you've always known, there's always new life that's coming, and it can be just as good as the life that you lost. And the second thing he said is, there's three things that I need to be happy at this point. One is I need to grow, to learn, and to evolve. The second thing was I need to feel like I'm contributing to the world, doing something to make the world a better place. And as a result of that, he traveled all over the world speaking, all sorts of different audiences. I saw him down at Kemper Arena, and they rolled him out in a wheelchair. His body was stiff and unmoving. He had the little tube within his throat, and he'd speak maybe 2 or 3 words, and then he'd have to pause, and then he'd be able to talk again. But on that day, those 3 things that he said on that stage, which are in his biography, stuck with me. I need to be on a path. We all need to be on a path where every day we feel like we're growing a little bit. I'm a little bit more today than I was yesterday. The good in my life is a little bit more today than it was yesterday. We all need to do something that serves the world in some way, a beneficial presence. And that is very easy to do. I'm not talking about finding a cure for cancer or going out and solving the world hunger situation. I am just talking to do something that makes somebody out there, somebody outside of you, it makes their life a little better, even for just a moment. When we take a look at our lives, and we take a look at the desires that we have, people like Christopher Reeves and Gandhi, they aren't the chosen ones. They're not lucky. We have those same powers. There was a baby born into very severe poverty in 1954 in Mississippi. She was raised in a family environment that was not positive at all. She was molested quite a bit. Her mother was a teenage, unwed mother. And so she didn't have a good start going for her. Plus, when she began to grow up, she got molested continually over those years. When she was 16, she got pregnant. And she took it in hand. She loved the baby, but the baby died after it was born. When she went to high school, she finally got a job as co-anchor for a news radio show. And she did very good. Her lively communication with the audience was something that they hadn't seen before. She went on to get her own talk show. By now you probably know I'm talking about Oprah. She went on to get her own talk show. She went on to get her own production company. She went on to produce movies. And now her whole talk show thing has moved to self-improvement and spirituality. It's not the pablum that she had in the beginning. Oprah was the first one that opened the gates for gays and lesbians to enter the national media, to be able to be on TV and to talk about their orientation and to get to know the people as real people. Incredible person. She has an honorary doctorate from Harvard, an honorary doctorate from Duke University, and she has the President's Medal of Personal Freedom. All from that one little baby born into abject poverty and treated with abuse for most of her life. But she raised above that. Why is that? Did she have a guardian angel? Did somebody help her? Was it magic? No. She just did it because she had the desire to move to someplace where she wasn't currently. She wanted to lift herself up and basically do the same thing that Christopher Reeves did. Is I want to do something that is good for the world. I want to learn and grow and evolve myself. And I want to be a beneficial presence to the earth. The point is, each and every one of us has that. And oftentimes when desires pop up, we just poo-poo them. Well, that's fine, but I'm too old. Or that's fine, but I don't have enough money. Or that's fine, I just don't have the education. The excuses are a long, long list. But the fact of the matter remains, if you have a desire, you infuse it with emotion, you create a vision, the mind is going to automatically, this is your subconscious mind, automatically direct you in ways that will lead you to the fulfillment of that desire. We've all experienced this before. We're deciding might get a new car, maybe I'll get a Volkswagen Bug. You know, immediately after you make up that decision, you drive down the street and there's Volkswagen Bugs everywhere. It's like we're overpopulated by them. That's because the mind takes you to that which you want and once again strengthens within you the desire to have it. Now, as I said earlier, the greatest desire each and every one of us has is for peace. Peace of mind and a sense of well-being. So as we go out into life today and as we go out into life throughout the week, if we can just increase that peace that we feel, if we can look for those trigger moments where somebody at work or a next door neighbor or somebody in the family is going to stir us up and hamper our peace, that's what we have to envision as a possibility and prepare for it. Peace is the greatest desire we have. Harmony is our most natural condition. And love is the greatest experience we can have. Those are the things that we value on a collective basis. And those are the things that we can not only increase in our lives, but increase in the world. So as we go into meditation, I ask you to just think about that. What is it in your life that you would like to have more of? What is it that you value that you feel you don't have enough of? And let's move forward and explore the inner space that we have with meditation.